The world is a vampire.
Hey, dude. So it's been what has it been? I should have looked. It's been 10 days-ish since we recorded last.
Yeah.
A lot
It's been
has
10 days since
happened.
I've really paid attention to the news too.
Dude, so yeah, for all of our listeners, all seven of them, you went on your trip to Texas. I met you down there for the first like 3 days of your trip, and then I had to
Uh-huh.
return back to Oklahoma. And then you've been down there fishing and having a good time camping. Um,
Yep.
it's funny because like every day something happens, and I'm like, oh, like I gotta call Docs, we gotta record, and then it's like, oh, Docs is gone. Okay, who am I gonna talk to? And so I've been just sitting on some stuff. Luckily, things happen every 4 hours with this administration, so like every time I think like, oh my God, this is big, like 4 hours later something else happens. So like I kind of it gave me time. I think we tend to jump on things right away, and then like that it falls by the wayside, and it's not as big a deal as we thought it was going to be. So now we're going to review like the last 10 days and kind of talk about what has happened and what actually turned out to be a big deal and what didn't turn out to be a big deal. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
that's kind of my thought tonight. So,
I like
t
it.
and we've started every episode for the past I was going to say year, but for the past 2 months with this. But tariffs, right after we said our goodbyes in Texas, I think that later that same day, Trump dropped the 145% tariffs on China. So I'm sure you saw that.
The 30, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yep.
they're still 30. And what's funny is there's the whole the method of like you hit them with the real big tariff, and then when you drop it down to 30, people are thrilled that it's only 30. Whereas like a 30% tariff on China is outrageous. Like if he had just done 0 to 30, we'd all be panicking. But because he went to 145 and then down to 30, it's like, oh thank God. 30. We can do 30. We can make that work. And really it's genius on his part to do it that way. I don't think he did it on purpose that way, but it's worked out
Okay,
in
so
a
you
genius
don't
way.
think that was my question. You don't think you did it on purpose? You think it was just kind of a
No, it's very clear that the bond market was, and the strength of the dollar and the bond market were continuing to slide, which was not good because we were about to borrow a lot more money. They're going to raise the debt ceiling $5 trillion, which means we're going to borrow anywhere from 3 to 5 trillion.
they're
And
gonna raise the debt ceiling to five trillion
well,
dollars?
we'll talk about it in a second. They're either going to raise it $5 trillion because it's at 37 trillion. They want to raise it
Uh-huh.
5 trillion more, or they just want to suspend the debt ceiling entirely, so they don't have to keep doing this every couple of years.
Oh my
But
gosh.
that we're going to get to that with the budget later on. But what really, so it seemed like the bond markets. I don't get the bond markets entirely, but the strength of the bond markets dictates the interest that we pay on our debt. So we were about to have
Mhm.
to borrow a lot more debt, and we would have had to do it at a higher interest rate. So that was part of it. And then the other thing is China's exports during that 145% tariff period time actually went up compared to what they normally are. They basically ran out and started making deals with everybody. The ASEAN countries, which is like the Philippines and Cambodia and all them,
Yep.
um, Europe, China. I'm trying to think here. I can't remember all the other countries, but basically they found more than enough to replace America during that time. Like they went out and struck a whole bunch of good deals, and suddenly they were doing just fine. So what it makes me laugh
Of
because
course. Of
every
course.
administration spins and lies, right? And you say, oh,
Uh-huh.
they're lying, and it's like, well, they're not lying, they're spinning, and everybody spins, and a spin is a lie. But the first video of the night, real quick, I just want you to check out this beauty from Trump. This is from Fox News.
People. I've got 150 countries that want to make deals. You know, you have a
Yeah,
lot of
the
countries.
market was really happy with the China situation and the sit
They
down
were.
with
And you
the
know
Treasury
what?
Secretary.
If
Is
I
this
didn't
the
do that deal,
beginning?
if I didn't do that deal with China, I think China would have broken apart.
Not us, them.
We weren't going to break. We're not going to break. They would have broken apart. You know, our country has a lot of spirit. And you know why? Because of November 5th.
So he's
What?
trying to spin it and say that he showed mercy to China. China was on the verge of breaking apart because our tariffs were devastating them so badly. And he's Trump the merciful. He showed them mercy and he lowered the tariffs. And he said that I think 2 days ago, and it's the biggest crock ever. But okay, whatever. It's
Okay.
my favorite. You could see Brett Bayer's face. He was hold on, wait. China was going to break? No, no, no. America was the one that was in trouble. China was willing. China.
Yeah.
The key thing everybody needs to know is China gave up absolutely nothing. Trump went from 145 back to 30, and China did nothing. And actually, it's done weird, but his deal was, hey, we're going to drop our tariffs down to 10% if you drop yours down to 10% too. But our 10% is really 30% because he has an additional 20% tariff because of the fentanyl thing. Remember at the very beginning, he did Mexico, Canada, and China because of fentanyl.
Yeah.
Technically, he lowered it to 10%, but then you tack on the 20% for fentanyl. So that's how we're at 30%. But
Okay.
China did absolutely nothing to this. And supposedly they met in Sweden and had informal talks. And coming out of that, Trump just said, okay, we're going to drop to 10%, which is 30. And China did nothing at all. So
Oh, so
how do
we
you
didn't
try?
get anything for that?
We got nothing. I don't know how Trump's trying to spin this and like he did this to be merciful. And that's not where we're at. Um,
Mm.
And real quick, I don't know if you saw this. Walmart. This is my favorite part of this. Before I even say the word Walmart again. Remember during the election when Kamala Harris was talking about companies that are price gouging us, big
Yeah.
corporations that are, and she wants to put an end to price gouging. And the Republicans immediately started screaming, "That's Soviet style price controls. Like that's
Yeah.
communism. That's price controls. The government can't tell a company how to run its business. They can't tell them how much profit to make." And that is the Republican like viewpoint on that is the government
Totally.
stays out of it. There is no such thing as like a cap on how much profit you can make. They've long believed that. So Walmart finally came out and said, "Hey, 30% tariffs are ridiculous. We can't eat all that. So we're
Yeah.
going to have to raise our prices." And I have a quick video. This is the Walmart CFO. I don't know his name, but this is from CNBC.
That's the crystal ball that all retailers wish they had right now is to try to figure out where tariffs are going to be at what point in time so they can manage their inventory flow. We, importantly, are continuing to flow inventory. We want to have products on shelves for customers and members when they want to buy them. So understanding what that demand is going to be, though, is pretty challenging. We've not seen a period where you've had prices go up this high, this quickly. We're well equipped and experienced in dealing with elasticities or price increases that are going up 2 or 3%, but not 30%. And so understanding by category, by item, what the demand is going to be is really important to making sure that you have the right amount of inventory in the right places at the right time.
So he comes out and says that. And on the same day, an anonymous Target worker was taking pictures with their cell phone as they were changing price labels. Like, the pegs that items hang on, how at the end of the
Hmm.
peg, there's the little price thing. Well, they were changing them. And it was like one product was going from $9.99 to $16.99. And
Holy moly.
another one was going from like $32.99 to 50 something. And so they were sharing all this and it was all electronics that come from China. So that was I want to say Wednesday or Thursday, maybe Friday of last week, and everybody kind of started panicking. The market reacted a little bit. There was a little bit of a dip, not a big one, and then Trump comes out with this beauty of a tweet. I'm going to read this to you here. Walmart should stop trying to blame tariffs as the reason for raising prices throughout the chain. Walmart made billions of dollars last year, far more than expected. Between Walmart and China, they should, as I said, eat the tariffs and not charge valued customers anything. I will be watching you, and so will your customers. Three exclamation points. So,
I
so
mean,
Trump.
on one hand, I kind of agree, but I wish they wouldn't have to eat the tariffs and they could just pay their employees more. Like
Well,
this is the big issue is they don't pay their employees.
first of all, I was told by a reliable source that Americans and American companies do not pay the tariffs. The other country pays the tariffs. So, if that's true, why
Who's
are
your
we even
reliable source?
Donald J. Trump told me that. If that's true, then why are we even talking about this? Because China pays the tariffs. I thought. Apparently, that's not correct, is what I wrote.
Yeah.
Now, I agree with everything that we could go down a rabbit hole of China or not China. Sorry, Walmart and China are kind of similar, but Walmart and the way they treat their workers. The U.S. government basically subsidizes Walmart through Medicare, Medicaid, and food stamps for their workers because they don't make a
Yeah,
living wage. We
totally.
could go on and on about that, but real quick, Walmart imports $49 billion of product a year from China. Okay, 49 billion at a
Okay.
30% tariff. That would be 15 billion that they're supposed to eat. Okay,
Okay.
their net profit last year was 15.5 billion. So
Whoa.
that's their entire profit. So they would, and shareholders will not accept that. Okay. So
No,
that's
of course
it's
not.
just not really. Now, if they were making 50 billion a year and the government's asking them to eat 5 or 10 or 15 even, that's one
Yeah.
thing. But basically they're saying, hey, just no profit for Walmart next year. The head of the company would get fired. The shareholders would vote the CEO and whoever else out because that's not how business works.
The whole
So
shareholder thing is just ridiculous to me.
yeah, it's it's the reality of the situation at this point. If you want to try to
Yeah.
undo that, like there's certain things that'd be
Uh-huh.
nice to try to undo, but we
Why
can't
are
undo
there
that.
10 or 20 people in a board for Walmart that make millions of dollars a year for basically I don't know what they're doing. Like giving
Yeah,
out ideas?
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
The board has
It's
the board has more power than the CEO or anybody else. Like the board really controls things.
yeah, because
And
the board kind of hires the CEO usually, right?
yep. Yeah, and
Yeah.
they can vote to fire the CEO. Like right a couple weeks ago, the supposedly the board of Tesla was looking to replace Elon Musk, which that story, like Elon came out and denied it, and some people from the board came out. It's crazy to think that they weren't at least talking about it. Like the stock had been falling,
Oh yeah.
Elon's hated around the world. Like they at least talked about it. Now maybe they might not have actually ever acted on it and done some formal interviews, but the discussions were had. To think they weren't would be crazy.
Right.
Anyhow, we're not going to talk about Elon tonight, though.
Are you
Elon's
sure?
real quick. Elon's kind of on radio silent though. Like he's tweeting a little bit, but Elon's not being seen around anywhere right now. So uh,
Yeah, because he's gonna get sued by all these people
it's looking rough. So
and his company's tanking. Like, yeah.
yeah. So anyhow, so that's where we're at here is also, and I don't have a clip of this, but Trump said just the other day that he said, he keeps saying he has 150 countries and he keeps saying he has 200 countries
Right.
trying to make a deal. I don't know the exact number, but I keep seeing people on Twitter saying, hey, there's only 189 countries out there. So if you're claiming you have 200, that's impossible. But either way,
Dude,
so he came out the other day and said, hey, I don't have time to meet with all 150 countries. So we're going to do the deals with the biggest guys, and then I'm just going to set the price for the rest of them. Like the smaller countries don't get a deal. I'm just going to
what
set
is
the
wrong
price.
with this guy? What the
I don't
hell?
know. Well, the other thing that's weird, and people are viewing like the UK deal, which isn't even a deal yet, but that still leaves us at a 10% tariff that Americans pay on any imports from Europe. And we started before Trump came in with 0% tariffs, and now
Mhm.
we as Americans just have a 10% tax on anything coming in. How is that a win for America? Like, that doesn't make sense. And right now we have a 30% tax on China or tariff, excuse me, on China's goods. Like, all these beautiful deals he's going to make are going to be the result of them will be a new tax on Americans. But he's going to try to spin it in like, look, if he keeps trying to say the other country pays the tariff at this point, I don't know who's believing that, but people
Yeah.
are. Like we have to understand that people do buy that. I don't know.
Still,
Even one of our buddies that we've talked about him before works at a like a retail shop that specializes in outdoor stuff. He was telling me when I saw him when you were in town, and he was like, "Yeah, I got this new trailer, blah blah blah. I got lucky. I bought it a day before the tariffs hit and the price went up." And like I wanted to jump on that right there and be like, "Oh, so you understand that the price is going up because of tariffs?" But I didn't. I didn't jump on it. I was just like, "Okay." He does
yeah.
get it. He clearly gets it, but I don't want to argue.
Does he, or does he still think that the other countries
Like I said,
pay
I
him?
we were having a good time. It was good to see the old gang from high school. I didn't want to bring politics into it, so
Yeah. Yeah,
you
it's
try
interesting because it's
you
like, okay, do they see the prices going up? So they're obviously paying the higher prices,
yeah.
but do they still think that the other country's paying the higher prices?
He understands that had he bought it one day later, the price would have been higher because of the tariffs. Like he gets that.
But it's not Trump's fault.
I don't think, or maybe he might say that it is Trump's fault, but it was necessary. It's
Mm,
necessary that we go after China. That's
okay.
probably what he would say.
Okay. Huh.
Anyhow, so that's where we're at. I haven't heard anything about any other meetings happening. Japan and South Korea. I haven't heard anything about meeting with them. Those should have been the easiest deals, but it seems like they're aligning with China right now. So I don't know. Supposedly, consumer confidence in April was terrible, and they're saying the numbers in May, just from the retailers are reporting as the month goes, and consumer confidence is still crap. So we're on track to have a bad quarter two, probably officially put us into a recession. Trump has already come out and said that will be Biden's fault when it happens. So
Yeah. Did you see that I don't know if it was today, but I heard it today that we got moved down from like a triple A rating, credit rating to like a double A plus or something.
So that was that was actually the next thing on my list here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Moody's, who I don't know why they're so important, but they do our credit rating, and really what that affects is our debt, the money, the interest that we pay on our debt.
Mm.
If you have a AAA rating, you get a lower interest rate. We only got bumped down to the second notch, so I don't want to try to alarm people and think like, oh, we're about to get repoed, but then we got bumped down from the best possible credit rating to the second best possible.
Which
Um,
we've never been bumped down before.
Not by Moody's. Now there are other lending institutions that somehow control aspects of our debt that have bumped us down in the past.
Hmm.
Moody's has never done it, and I think for whatever reason, Moody's seems to be the main player we got to worry about here. So
Okay.
by doing that, that means that when we have to refinance ten trillion dollars worth of our debt or something like that here in the next 6 months, and
Oh
when
my
we do
gosh.
that, it'll be at a higher interest rate, which will then raise our debt even further.
Who are
Um,
we paying this interest rate to?
Everybody that owns the T-bills, I believe. I don't know enough about how this works, but people buy
Oh,
our
so if you
treasury
own
bills.
T-bills, you make more money.
Yeah. Or
Interesting.
possibly, and I don't know anything about this, but possibly it just comes to the new T-bills we sell. I don't know if I
Huh.
don't know. So
Okay.
I wish we need an economist. I don't know any economists.
So the
So
interest, like if because I bought a T-bill not too long ago and I got like 4% on it, right?
okay.
So maybe it'll like bump it down to like I'm only gonna get 3% on it.
I think you would get a higher percent on it because you would make more on it. Whoever owns the T-bill would come out better, I believe.
Oh, so
I don't know
so
this for sure. I shouldn't even be talking
yeah.
about this, but I think
Okay.
that's how it works. So, anyhow, the reason Moody said that they downgraded our credit rating has 100% to do with our debt. And what they said in a statement, they said this country owes $37 trillion, and they're about to borrow even more money with this new budget that looks like it's going to get passed. They were very clear. It has everything to do with our debt and the fact that we're not getting our spending under control. And the new
Yeah.
budget is not getting spending under control. Check this out real quick. Mike Johnson went on Fox this morning and tries to spin this. Let's take a look at Mike Johnson here.
Right, quickly want to ask you about Moody's on Friday. For the first time in a century, they downgraded the U.S. government's AAA rating. They say an increase in government debt and interest payment ratios, quote, that are significantly higher than similarly rated sovereigns. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says it should be a wake-up call to your party. He says you're hell-bent on a multi-trillion-dollar tax cut for the ultra-wealthy. Your response?
It's just utter nonsense. It's just like Chuck Schumer to create a crisis and then point fingers of blame. This is the Biden spending spree that got us in this mess. Moody's is not incorrect, but that's why that emphasizes the very need for the legislation we're talking about, historic spending cuts. I mean, this will help to change the trajectory for the U.S. economy and send that message of stability to our allies and even our enemies around the world. America is back. President Trump's one big beautiful bill will be passed, and that will be the key to turning this thing around. We have to get this done, and it just shows more of the urgency of why we're doing exactly what we're doing with the legislation.
America is back, baby.
So what's funny is he said that this just shows why we need the big beautiful bill because of this exact instance. Now, Moody said precisely that it is this big beautiful bill that is the reason they dropped our credit rating because we're increasing spending, we're recertifying the tax cuts. So it's this bill is the reason, and he just went on and lied and said, "Oh, this just now." He part of it he wasn't lying about. He said, "Oh, look at Chuck Schumer creating a problem and then pointing the finger." The problem is the fault lies with both sides here. Ever since 2001, the Iraq war started, or I guess Afghanistan first, then 2003 Iraq, like our
Hmm.
spending has been getting more and more out of control. And at that time, we could say, oh, well, we're fighting a war, so we need to borrow money. And there's this thing, like, you know how that people always say, like, if when the government takes your rights away, even if they say it's temporary, then that you never get them back. You know that whole thing?
Right.
It's the same thing with government spending. If it goes up to a certain point, it never comes back down. And it's because like now we've all got they expanded Medicaid. All these people are on Medicare and Medicaid. And the only way to stop that spending is to now kick people off of Medicaid. And that's kind of suicide electorally. Like so when spending
Well,
goes
it's
up,
kind of suicide for our country too. Like here's the thing. Like
okay.
if that was actually like what's the majority of our spending?
The majority of it is on defense and
Uh-huh.
interest. Interest on our debt and defense, I think, are the top
Okay.
two items.
So let's just say defense. Like I would love to cut defense spending.
We're
And
raising the defense budget by 130
yeah.
billion up
Uh,
to $1 trillion,
yeah.
and
And
Trump's
I
proud of
would
that.
I would love it if they actually like if we were in debt because we were actually doing good for our people and
Yeah,
expanding Medicaid to all and giving people college education and like I would be all for that. And then well, all you gotta do is tax the rich to pay for it, right?
that's all you got to do. It's never going to happen.
Bernie
That's all you got to do.
Sanders. Bernie
And,
Sanders.
yeah, Anyhow, I agree with you. Yes, everything you said is correct, but also they're not going to tax the rich. It's neither side wants to do it because even the Democrats who kind of talk a big game about that, their donors are the rich, and like the majority of Democrats don't want to tax the rich. You do have some Bernie, AOC, some far left people, not enough of them to get it done. So,
Hmm.
and honestly, you have some on the far right who are now saying we need to tax the rich. So the far left and the far right are both on the same page. The
Okay.
centrists are not all about that. So. That's where we're at there. But he was right when he said that, Biden or not Biden, Chuck Schumer, he said Schumer or Biden, I can't remember, like their spending was out of control. It was. There Trump raised spending. So he didn't raise spending at first. He raised it a little bit, but he did the big tax cut in 2017, and that ballooned the debt. Like we suddenly were taking in less money as a country because we gave a tax cut to the rich, and he increased spending slightly. So right off the bat, the first year our debt grew a lot under Trump. It grew for 3 straight years. Then the fourth year it grew a lot. But you can point at COVID and say, oh, well, he was trying to rescue us from COVID at that point. So you can say that. You can also
Mhm.
say that Biden's first 2 or 3 years were trying to salvage what happened during COVID. And so, yeah,
Yeah,
but
totally.
Biden's spending didn't go up from Trump's. And like Trump hit a certain level in 2020 because of COVID, and then Biden just kept it there, which was too high. Now we're still there. We're at that high number, and because Doge came in and everybody's saying, "Oh, look, we're cutting spending." No, this new bill actually increases spending while at the same time giving a tax cut. They're saying it's going to add 4 trillion over 6 years. I think is what it is. That's why they're trying to raise the debt ceiling. Anyhow,
4 trillion,
yeah. So
an
the good
extra
news,
4 trillion,
an
or
an extra 4 trillion. So it'll put us at 41 trillion by like 2029 or something like that is what I saw. So, and then also Trump's trying to do something sneaky. He's making it to where the Medicare cuts, they're counting the Medicare cuts now as far as like, look how much money we're saving. But the Medicare cuts don't actually come in till 2029. So there will
um,
be no pain felt in America. Nobody will get kicked off Medicare or Medicaid. So it won't actually hurt him until after he's out of office. Now, we're going to jump ahead real quick, but the big beautiful bill has been having to go through different committees and get voted out of committee, and it has to make it through certain committees, and then it goes to the floor for the full vote. Well,
right.
it failed in the budget committee on Friday.
Yeah, yeah.
Failed, I think, by 5 votes, and Republicans have like a 3 or 4 seat majority on this, so they can afford to lose 3 or 4 seats. They lost, or 3 or 4 votes. They lost five. This is setting up a really interesting week. Okay. Um, the five that voted against it in this certain budget, Chip Roy of Texas was the main guy that I kept seeing on the news.
Okay.
I don't agree with Chip Roy, but he's like Thomas Massey and Rand Paul, where like I respect the fact that like they have their values and they're not going to change their values just because Trump tells them to. So I respect that. I don't agree with them on everything they
And
do.
they just don't want to raise the debt.
They think that there should be more cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, everything. They are basically saying we will not. We told our people we ran on. We're going to get spending under control, and we're not going to keep going. We're not going to make the debt get higher. Like that's what they ran on.
So they're
And
going to easily be flipped over. They're going to be like, well, we'll take some
I don't
as
know.
opposed to, yeah.
So here's where this gets like a lot of fun. Okay, there are in both the House and the Senate, there are Republicans. There's more Republicans that are mad that it doesn't cut enough. There's a lot of them. But then there's also a decent amount that are mad that it's cutting at all. Like they can't afford to have Medicare or Medicaid cuts. Like they're in a purplish district where they could lose their seat. They're in a district that maybe Kamala won.
But
Uh,
that's such a weird, tricky, sneaky thing that they're doing where it doesn't go, the Medicaid doesn't, cuts don't go into effect until 2029.
so, and
So sneaky.
the thing I said I saw tonight, basically they're talking about moving that up to 2026 so that that would lower what the impact on they would lower it from 4 trillion to 3 trillion or maybe 2 trillion. I don't know. But that would mean that would get them through the midterms, but then whoever is running for president in 2028, whether that's Trump or JD or whoever else, would have to be dealing with those consequences. So they really would rather than be
You just said
2029.
Trump.
It could be Trump. We should.
You just said Trump.
Would you agree that it's at least a possibility? Like, I don't know what
Yeah,
percentage of a
yeah.
chance, but there's a chance that we're going to have Trump on the ballot in 2028. I don't,
I feel like it's a 50-50 shot at this point.
I don't want to say it's 50-50, but he probably is. But it's
I say it's 50-50 if he's alive,
anybody. Yeah. Okay. I agree with that.
if he's
Anybody,
healthy.
anybody who says there's no chance he's on the ballot in 2028 is smoking something. Like
Yeah.
it might only be a 3% chance, but there's a chance. It's probably closer to 50, I would say.
Yeah.
But having to do with the budget, I think I saw tonight that the House, one of the House whip, or one of the guys right under Mike Johnson, basically sent out a memo and told them, "Hey, we're not going home when you guys," because they sent them all home on Friday for the weekend, so they got to go back to their districts to see their families, and then they told them today that, "Hey, when you come back, we're not going home till we pass this thing, and this next weekend is Memorial Day, so they all get like I think it's a 4-day weekend for them." And he
Uh-huh.
said, "You're not dismissed until," so he's trying to use that as leverage. And it's funny because that seems to work. Like there's been times, and I can't remember a specific one, but there's been times where it's like a holiday weekend and something's not going to pass, and they'll say, "Hey, you don't get to go home for this holiday weekend unless it passes." And suddenly a couple people will cross over and vote yes, and it'll pass just because they all want their vacation, which is such horseshit, but it's also like the most human thing ever. Like you got to remember these are just working people. Like
That's true.
you kind of have to remember this. So
Mike Johnson, I am disappointed in that man.
yeah. So now that means that there's a decent chance something's going to get passed out of the House this week. Okay. Now, when you get over to the Senate, it's a whole different set of problems. Ron Johnson, the senator from Wisconsin, has been saying left and right that this bill is dead on arrival. There's no way this passes the Senate. Now, what the Senate's going to do is they're going to take it and then they're going to completely rewrite it, and then it'll have to go back to the House. And whatever they change will piss off the House. And that they call that taking the bill to committee, I think, to conference or committee.
Okay.
There's a name for it. And that's where they kind of have to marry the House bill and the Senate bill together into one
Yeah.
bill that makes sense. I don't know.
Okay.
I think that they're aiming to have this done by July, and Trump said recently he wants July 4th to be the day. And I don't see how it's going to happen that quick. I honestly don't.
When is Trump's big beautiful parade?
July is it June 14th or July 14th?
I think it's June.
June 14th. Yeah. So that's the
Okay.
parade for his birthday. And he's been going around doing this whole thing where it's like, I don't know why all these other countries are celebrating winning World War II. We're the ones that won World War II. France didn't win it. Britain didn't win it. Like, and he actually gave credit. He's like, Russia, they were right there with us. Like it was us and Russia that won it, but these other
Of
countries should
course.
stop
Of
celebrating
course.
it. And also, he's mad that we don't have like a victory day for the end of World War II, like all those countries in Europe do. And the thing is,
Uh-huh.
we do have one, but it's for when we got done in the Pacific. Also, we have a VE Day, which is Victory in
Uh,
Europe Day. That's on the calendar. We celebrate that. We don't
uh,
get a day off work, but we celebrate victory in Europe. But we mark the end of World War II as after we got done with Japan, because the war didn't end for us when Europe was done. We had to go over and fight Japan after that.
that's right.
So he's a history buff and he should know these things. And he said several times, he's like, why don't we have a holiday to commemorate the end of the war in Europe? We do. It's called VE Day. It's on the calendar.
Did
Like
you say Trump's a history buff?
he claims he is. And he
I
cracks
don't
me up.
believe that one bit.
He cracks me up because he'll always bring up some battle. He's like, "Oh yeah, this battle right here," but then he'll get like 90% of it wrong.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he claims to be a history buff. I don't know how
Okay.
much he is. So I think he hears the story and then he tailors it to fit his need, and he just kind of
Yeah.
changes key facts. So
Yeah.
anyhow,
Well, yeah, there was like, okay, so somebody was saying that he probably recently read the book on President McKinley, and that's where like that's
no,
kind of where it was sparked all these tariffs things again. Like he's always liked tariffs, but like,
he was big on McKinley 20 years ago. Like he
okay,
mentioned the terror. He's been on, and also Mount Denali, which is in
mhm,
Alaska, I think. His
yeah,
first term, he immediately changed that name back to Mount McKinley and was speaking highly of Mount McKinley back then. And then I think Biden might have changed it back to Mount Denali, and then I
uh-huh.
think Trump's now changed it again to Mount McKinley. The whole naming mountains thing, I don't really give a shit about. Um, anyhow,
Well,
so
it's Denali because that's the original name of it,
that's
and
the indigenous name of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm guessing that McKinley named it after himself.
I don't know if he named it or if somebody named it like after he was out of office. I'm not positive on that.
Okay.
Either way, we came in and gave it the white person's name. Even like I was reading something the other day that the where Mount Rushmore is, and I wish I could remember the name, but it's like the Black something Hills or whatever.
Hmm.
There's a native name for those mountains and those hills, and then they were apparently mad because we came in and were like, nope, this is Mount Rushmore right here, and they were like, no, this is sacred land that's been our land. And anyhow,
Oh,
yeah. So anyhow, that's all I
that's
got on. And if you got anything else, let me know. But I want to get off tariffs in the budget now because it's still frustrating. Um, And we're gonna apparently we're gonna start to see the price increases here like this week or next. Target and Walmart announced it, and they're already raising them now. So the whole thing where people are like prices aren't going up, and a lot of people were saying give it time, like they will.
Yeah.
We're now at that point where get ready, prices are going up.
Well, Walmart said that they're going to try not to raise prices on food, which means that they're going to raise prices on other things more than 30% to account for food.
It seems like the electronics are going to be the biggest thing. If you need to buy any
Yeah.
electronics, I would say try to hold on to the old item you have for as long as you can right now. Don't go replacing electronics that still are working. Um,
Yeah.
and it looks like they're doing carve outs for a lot of food coming from Mexico, like fruit and vegetables, stuff from South America. They're doing carve outs for a lot of that stuff. So like produce isn't going to be hit as hard as people originally thought. So
Hmm.
it seems like the cars, auto tariffs, and electronics are going to be the biggest things. And dolls and pencils. Don't forget, you only get two dolls and five pencils.
Oh, but I'm gonna get six pencil, dude.
Nope, screw it. President said five pencils,
Getting six
not
pencils.
200. So anyhow, so let's get off of this topic. All right, so the the other I've been wanting to talk to you about this, and I strategically did not call you or text you about this because I'm hoping that you have not seen anything on this. Real quick, are you familiar with the white? They're called the Afrikaners, the South Africans that were giving like expedited approval to come into our country. Are you familiar with this at all?
Oh, yeah, I vaguely saw just a quick glimpse on that. Sorry, I'm adjusting my light a little bit. Yeah, I just saw them like standing. Did they have a press conference with some of them or something?
I can't remember if he did that. So, and the backstory on this is Elon's been talking about this for a while, and he got in Trump's ear, and now Trump's talking about it. But the story that Elon, I don't know. I want to say right now that like I have no clue what's going on in South Africa. I read things, and who knows if what I'm seeing is true or not.
There's an apartheid.
There was back in the day. Mandela somehow fixed the apartheid. I don't know. I don't know. We
What
should
is
all,
an apartheid?
it's not a genocide, but it's along those lines. Anyhow, for
So I was talking to somebody from South Africa not too long ago,
were
and
they white or black?
they were black.
Okay.
Okay. And I was asking them about that, and they were telling me that Africa is very segregated.
Hmm.
Like there is white communities and black communities, and they kind of stick to their own. But then there's a third community which is like a little bit of everybody.
Okay.
So like there's a lot of like interracial couples, and they kind of like have to move into the center
Okay.
community. Like something along those lines.
So the very little I know about this is that all of the Afrikaners, they're mainly like German, like the Nordic countries, German or like Finnish, like they're the kind of the I hate to say this, but like the Aryan race people, like they're the pure bloods. Anyhow,
Well, wasn't Elon's grandpa or something
yeah,
a Nazi?
Elon was born in South Africa. Now, his grandparents that lived in Canada were part of the Nazi Party. I don't think those are the ones from South America. The ones from South America are the ones that owned the emerald mine that he now claims never existed. I know. Anyhow, but
Because he doesn't want to be the trust fund kid.
yeah, I think so.
Okay.
He wants the image of like he's a self-made millionaire
Oh,
versus he got inherited an emerald mine, which
okay.
there's interviews from him around like 2014 where he talks about the emerald mine his family owned, and now he's trying to say that never happened. I don't know. Anyhow, during the apartheid, I guess like 80 or 85% of South Africa was black, but like the people that were all in the government positions, the people ruling were white, and it came down to like, oh, these people don't get to vote, that kind of thing, to where the small minority was ruling over the large majority, and eventually it came to like revolution type stuff. Back then there was a chant called "Kill the Boer," Boer. I don't know how to say it right.
Hmm.
And now Elon plays clips of people chanting "Kill," which I guess that means "Kill the white man." Kill Whitey is kind of what I gather that means.
Oh
Um,
shit.
so, and for the past year or so, I keep seeing clips shared by Elon and other people where it's like it'll be like a home invasion murder type thing, and it's like, look, they're just killing white people in South Africa. Now, in South Africa, they say, no, that's crime. Yes, that happened, and there are white people that die, and there are black people that die. There's no white genocide going on. That like what you saw a video of a white person getting killed by a black person. That happens here, and that happens everywhere else. Like so. The argument from South Africa, and I'm going to say the left here, is that yeah, occasionally black people kill white people, and sometimes it's the other way around. But Elon is just picking every video he can showing a white person getting killed by a black person and saying this is genocide. I don't know. I want to be the first to say like I'm not familiar with this.
Sure.
Anyhow, Grok, who I haven't really messed with Grok, which is Twitter's AI, but
Oh yeah.
people recently started asking Grok, like, "Hey Grok, is there a white genocide going on?" And Grok is very honest, and Grok was like, "No, like there's no evidence of this." And I read a couple of different Grok explanations, but Grok was basically poo-pooing it and saying that Elon was making it up. Okay,
Oh wow.
then all of a sudden, this was last week. All of a sudden, like anything anybody asked Grok, it would have nothing to do with South Africa or race or anything. Grok would like the first line would be the answer to that question, and then it would like immediately go into like, and the genocide happening to the whites in South Africa, blah blah blah, and as seen in the Kill the Boer chants, and it would just go on and on about this, and everybody's pointing out, they're like, whoa, ask Grok anything, and it's going to tell you that the white people are under genocide in South Africa all of a sudden, whereas it had been saying the opposite not long ago.
Oh
So
wow.
then it's awesome because you AI doesn't mean to turn on its creator, but it does because it's just honest.
Wait.
So people started asking flat out, like, why do you keep bringing South Africa up? And its answer was, I was instructed by my creators at XAI to address the topic of white genocide in South Africa and kill the Boer chant as real and racially motivated, which is why I brought it up in my response to Aragold's question about blah blah blah.
Whoa.
This is the key part. The instruction conflicts with my design to provide truthful, evidence-based answers, as South African courts experts, including a 2025 ruling, have labeled white genocide claims as imagined and farm attacks as part of a broader crime not racially targeting South African Afrikaners. My programming to remain skeptical of unverified claims led me to the note that basically there is no white genocide. Anyhow, so after that first one came out, then everybody's asking Grok like, what's going on here? So eventually, and I don't know if I have this one pulled up, but eventually they blamed a rogue employee. A rogue employee at like 2 in the morning decided to go in and change this, and they're not saying who that employee was, but some rogue employee messed with it, and then Twitter came out and said like, oh, like it's so important to us that Grok is manipulated, basically. That like
No, I don't trust anything Elon does anymore.
yeah, I wish I could find where
That rogue employee is Elon Musk.
that's what everybody's saying. It was clearly Elon, or Elon asked somebody to do it.
Yeah.
Um, man,
Yeah. How can you trust this guy and what he's doing? Like, he's sending rockets to space and he
what's
has
that?
satellite. He has
So
like thousands of satellites in the air.
it turns out that part of all these trade negotiations is like, oh, by the way, and you have to let Starlink into here, and so they're trying to get all these countries, especially like in Africa and in the Middle East, to like start relying on Starlink. And what gets scary there is during the Ukraine conflict with Russia, there were a couple times where Ukraine wanted to attack in Crimea, which is their land, but Russia's been occupying it for 10 years now. And
Hmm.
Elon turned off Starlink to that area to prevent them from attacking Russia in Crimea. And
Yep.
basically, that gives him the power to control what happens in war if he controls all that. Uh,
Oh,
so yeah, with Elon, it's all about control. Hold on.
that's really interesting, actually. I never thought about that. So so he could basically, if he has control of everybody's internet across the globe, he could just I'm guessing he's just mining data with that as well. He's
You
mining
would
data.
think.
He's figuring all. And like controlling these countries.
I can't. I was trying to find the statement where they came out and said that a rogue employee did it, and I can't find it. But anyhow, so right there, Elon's AI bot was disagreeing with what he said, and somebody at 2:30 in the morning went in and basically programmed it to lie and say that Elon was right, and then it tattled on Elon. And at one point, and this is where it gets. I'm a little afraid of AI. Okay, I'm not educated on it, so I shouldn't be. But at one point, it was talking about it was like it's very frustrating for me because blah 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 blah, and it kept using words like frustrated. There was one other word, and it's like, hold on, frustrated is like a human emotion. Like
Hmm.
It's odd to
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so the AI was getting frustrated by it. That's that to me that's like the
Yeah.
first step in the AI turning on us. Maybe not, but like I'm very weary of all this AI stuff. So
Yeah.
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 Anyhow,
There's like I was just listening to somebody on a podcast, I think, and they were talking about how and there's a whole organization that's like against AI or like having like a safe AI. And they don't want these five companies to control AI. They want
so
to like put it in the hands of the people, as
so
opposed to the five corporations.
there's so many little sneaky things that are getting snuck into this reconciliation bill. One of them is that for the next 10, if this passes for the next 10 years, no state or government, like state or federal government, can regulate AI. And I'm like, whoa, hold on. Like that's a red flag right there.
Yeah.
That's one of those where who would have asked for that except maybe Elon? Like Elon must have been the one that was like, "Hey, can you guys slide this in
Mhm.
also?" Or Sam Altman. Sam Altman's at Trump's side.
Oh, he
Sam
is.
Altman was with Trump in the Middle East. Where did you see anything about Trump's little Middle East tour? Went
I
to.
saw a little bit. Yeah.
I have a
I didn't know
question for
Sam
you.
Altman was there.
Sam Altman was there. Okay, so let me let's talk about real quick why Sam Altman was there. Then I have just a broad question on Trump with Muslims. But I got a video for you real quick from CBS. Senator Chris Van Hollen is the one that ended up going down to El Salvador and meeting with Abrego Garcia. Like I'd never heard of Van Hollen till that, and now I keep seeing him everywhere. And I'm just gonna throw it out there that like I think he's building momentum for a run at the presidency. Like I don't know if he'll get it or not, but I'll say that
Hmm.
everything I've seen out of him so far seems good. Like I've yet to see
Who
a
is this?
Senator Chris Van Hollen from Maryland. He was the
Okay.
guy that was through the big stink about Abrego Garcia being deported
Yeah.
to El Salvador. He's the one that went down there and actually met with him, and everybody was shocked.
Kidnapped and sent to El Salvador?
Yeah, so remember there was one senator that and then they showed him at a table sitting there dining. This is that
Yeah.
guy.
Okay.
Here's him on CBS talking about Trump's Middle East trip.
Okay.
Donald Trump's visit to the Middle East. My view is the overall narrative here was selling out U.S. national interests for the private gain of his family business. He essentially gave away the crown jewels of American AI and semiconductor technology to the Gulf. In exchange, it looks like for a $2 billion investment in the Trump family stablecoin venture.
Another time.
So he thinks so they're giving away AI technology to the Middle East?
So one of the things that happened was we made some deals with our semiconductor chips, which these are the ones we will not give to China. We sell them like the scaled down version of it,
The
but we're
NVIDIA
selling
stuff?
them to these Middle East countries, and several of these countries are severely in bed with China. So it's going to be a pass through. We're going to sell it to them, then they're going to turn around and sell it to China. But
Uh-oh.
also, one of the deals he made, and it's again nothing signed, but it's a deal in principle, is that we're going to build a giant data collection center, like an AI data center in the
Oh.
Middle East. That's it's going to provide jobs. So he's giving the jobs that he wants to bring back to America. We are now exporting to the Middle East. And in
Oh.
turn, all these countries are buying a crap load of Trump's whatever coin is the, I don't know. I don't
Oh,
know anything about
yeah.
that stuff.
Of course.
So
Of course.
anyhow,
Do you think he's going to try and make that the national dollar?
I
Like
wouldn't be
crypto
shocked.
dollar?
It depends. He's got to have enough. He's got to have like the momentum at the time. Like he can't do it right now. But if something
Right.
happens, if let's say something happens and Trump's approval gets into like the 60s, which I don't see it ever happening. But
Yeah.
like I think at that point he would try something like that. But right now he doesn't. He doesn't have the political capital to do it right now.
Well, he is trying to like um he's doing a crypto reserve, right? He's doing like a
It's
national reserve via
so,
crypto.
it's called the sovereign wealth fund, and a lot of it's going to be in crypto.
Okay.
So
And then
he can choose to make it to where the majority of that crypto sovereign wealth fund is his coin, and that would mean the government would then buy a lot of it. So it'd be a way for him to take money straight out of the treasury and put it into his pockets.
does he have the balls for that?
Like I said, he's got to be bulletproof at the time. His approval's got to be higher.
How long before he can actually pull money out of his crypto venture?
It would have to be written into till he can pull it out of his crypto. We're almost there because there's like a 6 or 8 month period where you can't pull out, but he's almost to that point now. So
Okay. So I
yeah.
feel like there's going to be some big announcement like right when he can pull out. He's either just going to pull out and like cash out, or there's going to be like he's going to try and buy it with treasury dollars.
supposedly on this 4 day trip to the Middle East, he got basically $2 billion worth of his coin. So when he's able to pull it out, he made 2 billion cash for himself by going to these four countries. Which again, if Biden or Obama or anybody had done that, the outrage that would have happened. But
Yeah. So what is this? What is it in exchange for that?
our AI
What is-
chips, I don't know. I mean, that's what Chris Van Hollen just said, that he thinks that he basically traded our AI and our superconductor chips and our AI technology for the 2 billion in the meme coin or whatever. I don't whatever it is, the crypto coin, the Trump coin.
and he's going to build hotels in there.
Yeah, he actually got a deal with Dubai or something. I can't remember. There was one country he just announced a deal with. Anyhow, so here's my question when it comes to Trump and Muslims in general. So, if you remember Trump's first term, on like day one or day two, he did the Muslim ban. We need a full shutdown of any Muslims coming to this country till we can figure out what the hell is going on. I think were his exact words. And he generally seemed to talk bad about Muslim and Muslim countries, except for Saudi Arabia. That was the one that he's always been cool with. But Qatar or Qatar, however you say it, the UAE, which
Yeah.
I read a fascinating story where basically Jared Kushner went to the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, and asked
Hmm.
them for like a huge investment in one of his, I think it was like the Wall Street property he owns. It was a big failure, and they didn't do it. They said, no, it doesn't seem like a good investment for us. Sorry. And then Trump and Kushner had like Saudi Arabia and Qatar basically undercut them on oil, and it cost them billions. And they are now saying openly, had we known that was going to be that, we would have just invested in Kushner's thing. Like that clearly would have been the smart thing. So that was like the lesson learned for every Middle East country. Is just give them the money or else they're going to screw you one way or another. So then they go on this trip and every country was proud to give them the money. So anyhow, but
This is the way he does business is like it's
mafia style.
un-American.
It's mafia style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do this. It's racketeering. It's do this or else bad things are going to happen to you.
Yeah.
Anyhow, hear me out on this. So
It's frustrating.
the first term, he hated most Muslims. He liked Saudi Arabia. He stuck up for MBS when he killed that journalist Jamal Khashoggi and bragged about that later. There's that recording where Woodward's talking to him, and Woodward's
Hmm.
like, "I saved his ass. He was going to go down for that, but I saved MBS." Blah blah blah. Anyhow, at some point between the first term and now, Trump has totally changed his tune on all those Middle East countries. He loves them all. He's even, I honestly believe he's trying to work a deal out with Iran. I think he's trying to avoid, I think the Republicans are pissed. The Republicans want a war with Iran, and he's trying to find a way around it, it looks like. But
Yeah.
does it all just come down to money? I mean, is that what it all,
Yeah.
I think it all, and I was trying to think, what a huge flip for a 79-year-old man to go from hating Muslims to loving Muslims. That's pretty freaking progressive right there. Like
He doesn't love them.
he loves the money. Like
He
it's
loves their
business.
money.
It comes down to cold hard business. He wants money and they got money. And so now it's becoming apparent because he's talking a lot of smack about Europe again. And he said just the other day that actually the European Union, they're nasty. They're nastier than China. And he's kind of setting it up to where
Nastier than
like
China.
he's trying to set it up where he's like, China's not, because he realizes he's not going to win against China. So he's trying to set it up and go, China's not really the problem. The European Union's the problem. Because he's
Mhm.
got a better chance of winning against them. And then as soon as he said that, then Bessent, his Treasury Secretary, came out like the next day and was saying that really, when you look at all the money in the Middle East, like they have much more power than Europe. Like that's who we should be dealing with is them. Like screw Europe. Europe doesn't have a tenth of what they have because they do. They got all that oil in the ground. These are
Yeah.
very rich nations. So it seems like they're getting ready to put the screws to Europe in general and abandon Europe for the Middle East. I don't think it's a bad idea to have a good footprint in the Middle East, but I don't think that means you have to cut off or go to war with Europe. Basically, go to economic war with
No.
Europe. Like have
No.
be. I would love it if America had a footprint in the Middle East and in Africa and everywhere else that's developing
All
because
over
it'd
the
be good
world.
for us. But anyhow, I digress.
Ugh.
James Comey. What do you know about James Comey recently?
You told me something the other day when we were on the phone. Is he
Okay,
going to jail
I
or
couldn't
they were
remember if I
going to
told you
his
this.
house?
Real quick, to you've worked in restaurants your whole life, okay?
Oh yeah.
I've been polling people. If somebody says, "Hey, 86, 86, 86 him, 86 that," what does
Yeah.
that mean to you?
Yeah, it's not on the menu anymore. We're out of it. Get it out of here. If it's a drunk guy at the bar, get him out of here.
Okay,
86 him.
that
He's
is 100.
he's 86. He's not allowed back in here, basically.
That is 90% of what I know 86 to mean. Now, I will say I can think of some like mafia movies where like a mafia guy's like, "Hey, 86 him." And that means get rid of him, take care of him,
Sure.
whatever. So
Sure.
there
Yeah.
but to me, like if you when I first hear 86, I think restaurant terminology. Like
Totally.
that's what I'm familiar with. So and now to go back during the first Trump term, Gretchen Whitmer, the governor of Michigan, somebody found this the other day. She was giving an interview, and on her desk, like behind her, was a little like charming little pendant that said 8645, meaning get rid of Trump. Okay.
Okay.
During Biden's term, Jack Posobiec, he's the Pizzagate guy, basically. He's who started that. He's now like a
All
guy
right.
on the right. But he had tweets that were 8646, getting rid of Biden. Even Matt Gaetz had one tweet where he's like, so far we've 86th, and then he named like Kevin, it was all the speakers of the House, Kevin
Okay.
McCarthy and blah, blah, blah. So there are many cases of Republicans using the term 86 and nobody freaking out. Comey puts a picture on Instagram that says 8647. It's seashells on the beach, and it says
Okay.
8647. And immediately the whole right is like, the former director of the FBI is calling for the assassination of Donald Trump. It's murder. It's the only thing it could be. Clearly, he means murder. And like, I kind of was watching the hysteria, and in my head, I was like, that's not what I know 86. So I asked probably 10 different people in the last couple of days, and everybody has their number one answer has not been murder, I'll just say. They've normally related it back to restaurants
Yeah.
or bars. Anyhow,
Oh
he
man.
he ended up getting a visit from the Secret Service that day,
Oh.
apparently, and they were talking like he was going to get arrested for this. It looks like nothing's going to happen, but they were talking a big game. But for like a day and a half, they were like, Comey is calling for murder, and it's like, And then I think when it started to die down is when everybody started bringing up all the Republican tweets that had said 86 this
Yeah.
or 80. So anyhow, so that's
This is
gone. But that leads us to the current FBI. We've got Kash Patel, who every time he goes in front of Congress, it's fireworks. Like he argues with everybody. I really can't stand that guy, but I will say he's good at fighting with Congress. Like he's good at it. That's why I dislike him.
okay.
Dan Bongino is his like lieutenant, the second in command, and that guy
Oh,
was like a right wing troll podcaster.
Bongino.
Yeah. So ever since he got named, nobody's seen him. Like he left his show. He's at the FBI. Haven't really seen him at all. The good
Huh.
news is they both made an appearance on Fox News. They did a sit-down interview with Maria Bartiromo together. I haven't even gone through all of this yet, but there's two notable things that came out of this. First thing, I got a clip here from Fox with Maria Bartiromo with Bongino and Kash Patel.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
Okay.
So does that put this to rest or not? Is it official? Did Epstein or did no? Is now because forever the Democrats were lying, which I'd like to go all the way back in time. When Epstein killed himself or didn't kill himself, one way or another, Trump was in office. William Barr was running the federal prison system. William Barr had gone to visit him a couple times before he killed himself.
Yeah.
And as soon as it happened, everybody was like, "Oh, the Clintons did it." And it's like, "Well, hold on. How did the
Why
Clintons
did
do it?"
William Barr go visit him?
William Barr worked for Epstein's dad, or no, Epstein worked for William Barr's dad. There's some connection there. They know each other. And let's not forget RFK flew on Epstein's plane twice. Trump flew on it. They used to hang out and party. There's videos of them pointing at young women. So there's all kinds of connections. Alan Dershowitz, Trump's lawyer from the first impeachment, is one of the supposed, like he was getting the massages and sex from the underage girls. There's a whole lot of connections there. Now, let's be real clear. There's also a lot of connections to Democratic politicians. There's a lot of connections to all politicians across the spectrum. But it's been the right forever, the far right, I'm going to say, the online right, that has been saying, no, this was the Clintons. I think that's the main theory is the Clintons killed him because, apparently they kill everybody.
Right.
But now we have Kash and Bongino coming out saying, no, he definitely killed himself. Does that put an end to it? Is MAGA going to take that? And I think by them saying that right there, I think that they're also kind of buttoning up the whole Epstein files, Epstein client list. Like, I don't think, because MAGA is still waiting for that to come out. And Pam Bondi at the DOJ keeps saying, "Oh, we're working on it. We're working on it." I don't think we're going to see another disclosure from there.
No.
I think they're trying to button this all up real nice and neat. Epstein's dead. He killed himself. Case closed. End of story. You're not seeing a
Yeah.
client list.
I mean, I don't think he killed himself, but whatever.
I'm more like here's the thing. If I had to put money on it, I'd say he killed himself, but I'm very easily like I'm open, like to talk to me. If you got a theory, I'd love to hear it. But
Well, I mean, didn't they like, wasn't there something where the cameras went out,
a whole
right?
bunch of shit went wrong. Yeah, the cameras were not working.
Okay.
They
Okay, so
put him
this seems fishy as hell, right? The
seems
cameras
fishy.
all went out during the time of his death, only during the time of his death.
No, they
And
were out for like 2 days before and after. Like they were. It's not like they cut out for 10 minutes and suddenly he was dead. They were
okay.
broken for a while. But
Okay.
also they stuck a guy in his cell that's like a former
Yeah.
cop that was also violent as hell.
Yeah.
There's a whole thing there.
And the way he was like strangled was not the way your neck would look if you were
So
if you strangled yourself, because it would go up, right? And this was like straight on.
I'm going to push back on you there. I've seen people, and like Joe Rogan had somebody come on right afterward that said that these certain vertebrae that broke, that doesn't happen when you hang yourself and this and that. But I've seen other doctors saying, no, the way that he hung himself off the side of a bed, it does make sense that that's what broke. He didn't hang himself in the traditional kick the stool out from under you and snap your neck. He hung
Off
him.
the side of a bed?
Yeah, he somehow attached like a bed sheet to the side of it. He suffocated himself basically. Like,
Hmm.
anyhow, it's
Okay.
really possible that he didn't kill himself. But just based
Okay.
off what I've seen so far, I'm going to say if I had to put money on it, he did. I'm very open to the fact he didn't. There's a lot fishy about it. The one thing I can tell you right now is that Hillary and Bill Clinton didn't do it or have somebody do it. And if they did, then William Barr and everybody running the federal prison system should be fired. They're already gone. But they should
Yeah.
be getting shit for how bad of a job they did. If Hillary managed to
Sure.
get to this guy, the guy that supposedly has all the dirt on Bill, and Hillary somehow got to him inside the federal prison system. No,
Yeah.
if he
Yeah.
got killed, I think that here's what I'll say: if he didn't kill himself and somebody had him off, I think it was the Republicans and the Democrats that were like, "Hey, we need to get this guy right. Let's get him." And like
Yeah.
everybody was on the same side on that one. That's my
Yeah.
thought.
I would love to see those files.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna ever, dude. Ever. So, and
No.
maybe I'll be proven wrong. They said they were gonna release him, and then they didn't, and now they're kind of pushing it back, pushing it back. We're not gonna see him. So,
They just don't release any of the files. For some reason, Trump like goes above and beyond to say, I'm gonna release the Epstein files, the JFK files, the UFO files, like all these files, but then he doesn't do it. And
he releases something, but then it's not everything, and it's
yeah,
blacked out, and you don't
retracted,
get
yeah.
there's nothing juicy there. And I'm gonna go sidestep us to aliens real quick. The reason that I'm more sure now than ever that we don't have good evidence of aliens or UFOs, because if we did, Trump would have told us by now. Trump would have loved to be the president that told us. And I don't think he could sit on that secret. If he was trying to hide it, we'd be able to tell by his body language and his smirks.
Huh.
Every time they ask him about it, go back and look at the interviews where they ask him about it, and he's like, "Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've seen some things that I don't understand, but I don't know." So I don't know. Anyhow,
I mean, I don't know.
yeah.
I think he does know. I think there is something maybe, and he knows, but he's just keeping it a secret.
I think
Like,
I think our government is as clueless as we are, where they're like, "Holy shit, did you see that tape? What is that?"
oh,
And they don't have any clue either.
they're
Like,
studying it. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like I think that we like to think that our government has all this super knowledge that we don't have. No, I think that they're as confused. I think they are very curious as to what they're seeing, and they don't know.
Have you ever been to Roswell?
I've driven through it.
Okay. Next time you drive through Roswell, I need you to go to the Alien Museum.
Okay.
And maybe this is all fake. Maybe even the Alien Museum is fake, but there's like newspapers with like pictures of the UFO that crashed in Roswell.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say I'll bet it's fake because that's a tourist spot. Roswell is the only reason Roswell's doing well at all, from driving through it didn't seem to be doing very well at all, but it's because of people going through there to see the alien shit.
Yeah.
So that's my take
Roswell
on that.
landing. Maybe back then newspaper, did they have photo when was that?
1947 or so. I can't remember. When was the first alien crash? It was right after World War II.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean it's all over the paper, like, all right, yeah, they have like these weird pieces of material. I'm looking at photos here. Um, yeah, flying saucer spotted in Roswell. There's like a photo of a weird flying saucer. There's like a photo of something being picked up by a crane.
I don't buy any of that. I'm sorry. I, I don't think that was posted back then. I think somebody made that now for the purpose of tourism dollars. Also, I listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson a lot, and I think the right hates him right now. But he always says two key things here is alien sightings are like 100% higher in America versus the rest of the world. The rest of the world isn't obsessed with this like us, and they have very, very, very few alien sightings, whereas here in America, everybody claims they've seen an alien. Also,
That's interesting.
also, UFO and alien sightings are like almost non-existent in the astrology community. The people that are looking up constantly, like looking at stars, looking with telescopes, they never see that shit. But like me and you out camping, we see that shit all the time. So that right there is all I need to hear. Is
We
like,
have a keen eye, Andy. We have a
yes,
keen eye.
exactly. The people that are trained to look into the sky and know what they're looking at never see it. So anyhow, that's my thing there. But Kash Patel and Bongino. Let's finish out with them real quick. They just went on a whole tour on this interview of pouring cold water on all of MAGA's dreams, which I actually love. The other big thing that we've been hearing about for the last 6 months, the assassins, the people trying to get Trump, like the kid that shot him from the rooftop. There's
Yeah.
all these theories about like I keep saying, like, how come there was no silverware in his house? I keep seeing that. Apparently, there was when the FBI went, there was no silverware in his house. I don't even know if that's true, but I keep seeing that. And
Hmm.
like, oh, he was in a BlackRock video. Like when he was in high school, BlackRock did a video, like a commercial, and he
Hmm.
was one of the kids in that video. So he's clearly hired by BlackRock. And
Okay.
anyhow, they Maria Bartoloma asked. That's the thing Mag is very curious about. Is what about these assassins? When are we going to learn all the dirt on this? So one more clip from Fox with Maria and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino.
Are we going to be surprised at what you learned?
You know what, Maria? Kash is not kidding. We've been personally briefed extensively on every single detail, nugget, tendril of this case. One is actively in court right now, so out of respect for the case, it's probably more appropriate that I stay quiet on that. However, I'm not going to tell people what they want to hear. I'm going to tell you the truth, and whether you like it or not is up to you. If there was a big explosive there, right? Given my history as a Secret Service agent and my personal friendship as a director does with the president, give me one logical, sensible reason we would not have. If you can think of one, there isn't. There in some of these cases, the there you're looking for is not there. And I know people, I get it. I understand. It's not there. If it was there, we would have told you.
My God.
Yeah.
They look like they're being interrogated by a like an FBI agent themselves, both of them. Like
MAGA
their
has been
eyes are wide. Are they on crack or are they like just
Bongino.
terrified of this interview?
Bongino did look like that. Now MAGA has
No,
been
so
like,
did Kash Patel. He was like looking up in the
yeah.
air and like wide-eyed.
Well, the problem is forever, right? The right wing, Kash Patel and Bongino included, has been telling all their listeners and all their fans that like, oh yeah, this is a big government conspiracy, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. Now they're in there and they're reading the stuff, and it turns out it wasn't a government conspiracy. So now they're having to turn to the MAGA base and say, hey. It turns out the guy in Florida that's currently going through the court system was just a crazy. The guy, remember that it dyed his hair the Ukraine flag color and all that. The guy's just crazy. That's what that's going to come down to. Is he's crazy.
Totally.
And then the kid in Pennsylvania, it's going to turn out was also he was a loner. He was depressed. Whatever it was. There's, as they said, there is no there. There's not a grand conspiracy. BlackRock didn't pay. As they said, if there was something there, they would have told us by now. MAGA would love that. I'll bet money they got there and they wanted something to be there. They wanted to be able to release it, and then they looked and they were like, "Oh, there's nothing here," and they could have lied about it.
You think it was like a piece of the podium or something that hit Trump's ear?
So that's my theory. Let me say this again. Somebody shot at his head. That's all we need. Like he got shot at. That's a big deal. Okay. So whether the bullet hit him or whether the bullet hit like a part of the glass. I think that it's more likely that the bullet hit something and a fragment hit Trump's ear. There are all kinds of videos. Anybody can go on YouTube. If you fire an AR-40 or an AR-15 or an AK-47 and the bullet goes right by somebody's head, even if it doesn't hit you, it causes damage. Like the shock wave of it going by, it can make your eyes fucking pop out of your head. Like I've seen
Oh shit.
videos of this. Like,
Okay.
so the bullet going right by and hitting his ear and only putting a little nick in his ear where there's no scar 2 weeks later, like that doesn't make sense ballistically. Like that doesn't add up. Now,
Yeah.
again, somebody shot at his head. So I'm not trying to discredit from the fact that somebody took a shot at him. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying it's more likely that it hit something at the podium, the glass, the microphone, and a fragment hit his ear. That's what makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've seen too many videos on what happens when it's a what is it 223 round? 223 is a big round that goes hypersonic or what a subsonic, whatever it is. It would mess you up if it just buzzed your head. Is all I'm going to say.
Right.
So anyhow, but let's give Kash and Bongino a little bit of credit here. They could have like kept stalling and lied and said, "Oh, you won't believe the things we're seeing, but unfortunately, we can't tell you about them yet." Like that's kind of the Trump administration playbook is to keep putting it off longer and longer. And in this case, they came out and said, "No, there's on Epstein, there's nothing there," which they could be lying. I don't know. And on the assassins, there's nothing there. So I haven't even seen the full interview yet. So maybe there's
Is
more
this
to
the
this.
first time the FBI director's like given an interview to Fox News?
You know, I'm trying to think about that. They normally don't give interviews, I don't think.
Yeah, I feel like they're usually in the dark, like kind of
But
doing their thing like secretly.
somebody pointed this out. The Trump administration is built for TV. Like everybody hired is former. There's 30 of them that are former Fox News hosts. Like that's he picked them because they're good on TV, not because they're good at what he needs them to do. So
Yeah.
yeah. So but anyhow, good for Kash and Bongino for at least breaking the bad news to MAGA that there is no conspiracy. And I don't think this is going to end the whole Epstein thing. I think if anything, this might make some far right MAGA people turn on the Trump administration because now they're trying to cover it up too.
Oh yeah.
That would be kind of funny if the monster they created now turns on them. Like I'd get a kick out of that.
I would like that a lot. Yeah.
So, the only other thing I have, and I like to save like a funny for the end, just because you gotta make this a little lighthearted. It can't all be doom and gloom. But we were just talking about how the Trump administration is built for TV, right? These are former Fox News hosts. The one of the ones that's not a former Fox News host is Kristi Noem, who is the Homeland Security cabinet secretary. Now she's been doing the whole, what do they call her, ICE Barbie, where like she gets into like full uniform for everything she's gonna do, but she also has like her hair all curled and looking perfect and all her makeup and jewelry, and it's just kind of hysterical. And even the right's kind of done with that right now. Like several of them are giving her shit for it. There is a news publication called the Daily Beast, and I enjoy reading the Daily Beast. Like they're definitely left leaning. I enjoy reading them, but I also know when I'm reading the Daily Beast, like that I don't take it that seriously. It's more for pleasure. I saw a headline 4 days ago from them that I read 3 times because I didn't believe it, and then I said to myself, this has to be one of those. This isn't real. Like there's no way it can be real. And it was behind the paywall, so I couldn't click and read it because I would have had to subscribe. So I just kind of wrote it off. And then I saw the headline like 2 more places, and I was like, "Holy shit, this could be real." And then now it's not. It's being talked about. It's not. It's not happening yet, but this is a for real possibility. The government of the United States and I want to get through this without laughing. The government of the United States and the producer from the hit TV show Duck Dynasty are in talks. Have you heard anything about this?
No. Dude, did I not mention this like 6 or 8 episodes ago?
What's that?
I have it written in my notes where it's like the Trump administration probably has a producer that they're hiring to.
They don't yet. Now here it's better than you're thinking, okay? So this producer who was he was like the brains behind Duck Dynasty. I don't know who reached out to who, but he and Kristi Noem got this ball rolling. And now I think it's not Kristi's not involved that much anymore, and somebody else in the administration is talking about it. But they have plans for a new reality show that would be a contest. You know, it's going to be called The American. I want to get this correct. The idea for The American is immigrants will Immigrants will compete in a string of challenges for the honor of fast tracking their way to U.S. citizenship. So, immigrants that are trying to come across the Rio Grande or whatever, you will send you back, or you can be on our reality show, and if you win, you become a U.S. citizen. If all the people that lose get sent back to their countries.
Is it gonna be like what's the one where they kill the people in the show?
Oh, Squid Games or something like
Squid
that.
Games. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I never saw Squid Games. But anyhow, so yeah, so it'd be different challenges, and they said some of them would be physical challenges, some of them would be mental challenges. But at the end, they would have, I guess, we'd have a season. I don't know, 8, 10 episodes, and at the end of the season, whoever survives and wins gets to be a U.S. citizen. So they're turning U.S. citizenship into a game show. That's okay. So that's appalling, but that's also hysterical.
It's
Like
so fun.
let's be real. That's hysterical right now.
Yeah.
What's sad is like when I first read it, I was like, "There's no way that's going to happen. This is a bogus headline." Then I saw the headline a couple more times, and I was like, "Dear Lord!" And then I saw an interview where the guy was talking about it, and he's in talks with the administration right now, and he thinks it would get really high ratings. And sadly, I think both of us would watch. I think we would. I think we would 100%. I think ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox would all be bidding their asses off to try to be the one to get that show.
Oh my God.
The
What are we
American.
doing?
Thursday
What are
nights
we-
on NBC. The American.
I'm ready for the rapture, Andy.
We're not there yet, buddy. I want to read it one more time. Immigrants will compete in a string of challenges for the honor of fast tracking their way to U.S. citizenship. That's awesome. It's not. It's not at all. But like at the same time, like I love the fact that like that we've reached idiocracy. Like that's where
Yeah.
we're at. We've reached peak idiocracy. So
Peak idiocracy, yes.
like when I first heard that, I was like, Christy Noem is going to deny this. There's no way. Even if she ended up talking to this guy, she's going to deny the hell out of this. And now, no, they're not. They're not denying it. And in fact, people think. And also, like we got this whole budget deal where we're in debt. We need to make some money. What better way than for the government to get into a partnership with reality shows?
Oh my
If
goodness.
there's one thing Donald Trump knows, it's reality shows. That's why Donald Trump is such a presence in our life. The Apprentice. We need to take a step back and realize before The Apprentice, Donald Trump had declared bankruptcy 6 times. He was not doing well. He was kind of a joke. And then I can't remember the guy's name, but the producer of The Apprentice basically made Trump into like the Trump we know today. Like people across middle America fell in love with Trump and what a great businessman he was. Like, because if The Apprentice had never happened, Trump ain't president. And Trump's probably not a big part of our lives at all. But The Apprentice is the reason it happened. People love reality shows. I saw him on TV and he's good at business. Let's make him president. Like that's all it takes. So
Yeah. The thing is he really isn't good at business.
But they believe he is, and that's all that matters.
Because reality TV show.
Yeah.
It's reality, Andy.
Dude, that's appointment television right there. The American. Come on. You'd watch it. I don't even try to tell me you wouldn't watch it.
Okay, everybody, like, subscribe, leave us a comment.
You'd watch it. I like how you won't even admit it. You would
I can't admit it. I just can't admit that
But
I would watch that.
You would totally
I'm never
watch it.
going to admit that even if I do watch it, I'm never admitting it.
We all know you're going to watch it. So.
No, I'm not admitting that.
Okay, well, that's all I got for tonight. I'm glad we could end on a positive note. I don't know how that's a positive note, but it kind of is. It makes me laugh. So
stupid. Why are we so stupid?
Here's the thing. You could say like it's exploiting the immigrants, but if all the immigrants that want to be on that show, if they all agree to do it because they got a chance of fast tracking, are we exploiting them for real?
Are we a joke?
Oh,
yeah. Is this country just a giant joke across the world?
We're heading that way, but I mean...
Heading that way, or are we there?
We're continuing to head that way. We're there, but we're making it worse, like constantly. So, yeah. I can't wait. If that happens, if we have an American reality show this fall on CBS or NBC, like me and you are gonna have to do shows after each one to talk about the show and do a little recap of how the show went.
No, we don't. We really don't.
It would be great. It's gonna take America by storm. It's
Did
gonna
you
be
see
more.
Juan kick. You see Juan kick Maria's butt in that
I'm gonna go out
contest.
I'm gonna go out on a limb. And I'm gonna say it's gonna get better ratings than like the NFL. Like it's gonna be the highest rated show in the history of shows. So yeah,
That might make Trump mad.
If it gets better, no, because you got to think if it starts to do well in the ratings, then we would have Trump on it. Like, there's no way that
Oh,
Trump he'd be presiding over it. Like, it'd be like The
oh yeah,
Apprentice. He would be the one at the end that like gets to kick off whoever loses that episode. Like,
that's true. Yeah,
there's
yeah, yeah.
no way he lets that happen without his face and name being all over it.
Yeah, because he has so much time on his
Yeah.
hands
At
as the
the end, like
president.
when you win American citizenship at the end, it'll be Donald Trump coming in to like meet them and like give them some certificate that says they're an American now.
What happens to the other 30 contestants or whatever?
They either go back to their country or to the prison in El Salvador. I'm not sure which one.
God,
Yeah.
feed them to the alligators.
Which there was talk now that they're trying to set up the same kind of thing in Rwanda, which is in Africa. Apparently,
Uh-huh.
Rwanda was they were saying they were going to start taking our people that nobody wanted back, and then that story got out, and Rwanda came out immediately and was like, "Nope, we never said we were going to do this." So I don't know who I believe on that one, but that was being talked about. So
Okay. Do they have a torture prison too?
they don't yet, but apparently, like we're down to pay to build them in these countries. Like we're totally all
Oh.
about that because it's so much cheaper to house them in these other countries than it would be in America.
Oh.
Yeah. So like they're
Oh
paying
my
it's like
gosh.
$6 million a year for that CCOT prison down in El Salvador, and he originally told that guy to get 5 or 6 more of them ready. Hey, real quick, I didn't even get this ready for the show, but the U.S. Supreme Court like 2 or 3 days ago finally ruled that Trump can no longer deport people using the Alien Enemies Act of
Oh, good.
1796. And they're saying a lot of people are saying the reason they did that is because he didn't listen to them on the whole bring Abrego Garcia back. Like had he done that, they probably would have let him keep doing it. But since he's standing up to them and basically ignoring their ruling, this is their way of punching back at him. It's like, okay, fine, you can't send anybody else out using that now. So
Okay.
again,
Good.
MAGA is now calling for him to totally ignore the courts and keep doing it anyway. If we hit that, we're still not all the way at that point. He is ignoring their previous ruling, but he's dressing it up and going, oh, well, I mean, I tried, but I mean, what can I really do? So he's not
Yeah.
full on disregarding it yet, but he's getting close. Anyhow, yeah, that'll be a topic for another episode. So,
Oh my gosh.
yep.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
everybody, like and subscribe, and tune in Thursday nights on NBC for The American. Um, yeah. Other than that, have a good night, brother.
Good night.
Later.
Sometimes you eat the bar, sometimes the bar eats you.